Franklin D. Roosevelt once said, "Real estate cannot be lost or stolen, nor can it be carried away. Purchased with common sense, paid for in full, and managed with reasonable care, it's about the safest investment in the world." And real estate is what we do. This is the Realtors Radio Network. There's no sense in overcomplicating real estate. And if you're a first-time home buyer, an investor, or a real estate agent, you're about to get useful, practical, and smart advice on every facet of real estate. Welcome to the Realtors Radio Network. Now your hosts, Santos Garcia, Marcos Suarez, and Dawn McCullough.
Welcome to Realtors Radio Network. Today we have Dawn McCullough, Santos Garcia, and myself, Marcos Suarez, and a special guest, Christian Sees.
Special, thank you.
Yes, you are a special guest.
I like that.
From Integrus Financial.
Yep.
And we've been trying to get you on for a while, but scheduling hasn't permitted for us and for you, obviously. But you're a busy guy. We're kind of busy, not as busy as you. But we've been... I think over our Christmas break or so, we talked about bringing you in, and finally, this is the new year, and we're like, we have to get Christian in because...
To be fair, when I walked in the office, I was a little disappointed there wasn't trays of food and two dessert tables.
Right.
Oh,
And I thought you guys did that every day.
So those are in the back. Those are in the back.
So I don't know how long I'm able to stay,
Right.
but there's dessert waiting for me on the way out.
It's still too early in the year, but right now we're pushing for those 2024 goals. Like we're trying to lose some.
You're trying to lose it? I'm trying to find it.
You're trying to... I did find it. We wanted to ask you about your business. We've known you a long time, Dawn and I.
Long time.
We have a long history there.
Yes.
Actually, let's get into it. Do you remember where we met, or you don't remember?
I do know exactly where we met.
Yep.
At a house in Wayne.
Yes.
And you were holding a little baby with you.
Yep.
With
Griffin.
curls.
Yeah.
She
Curls
couldn't get
that
over the
any
curls.
woman would be jealous of.
She must have talked about those curls the whole rest of the day. Like, can you believe those curls? I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Any woman with straight hair can understand that.
I remember it was that
Griffin.
yellow house
Yep.
on Tamarack Road in Wayne. Yeah.
Yes.
It was.
Mhm.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Griffin was still carryable. He's not
Yes.
carryable anymore.
Yeah. No, not at all. Well,
Well, the Hulk can carry
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, well, he's grown an awful lot.
he is. He's almost my height now.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, it's insane.
Man, time flies.
It's insane. Yes, it's amazing.
We so back then
And it's been so awesome that we've kept that relationship over that time.
yes,
We've gotten together a number of times,
Yeah.
for different events and
the Halloween
it's-
parties,
yeah, Halloween
the
parties,
pizza parties,
yeah, just coming over,
the anniversary, house anniversary.
Yeah, it's been great. It really
Yeah.
has. We've really appreciated that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit. When we met you, you were not. You were still in the car industry, right? In the
I
car
was
dealership?
working for automobile manufacturer.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I was on the aftermarket part of the business, so parts supply and distribution,
Mm-hmm.
which was really interesting. I love driving the cars. That was a lot of fun. It was a luxury automobile manufacturer.
Nice.
Over the weekend, you'd be able to take a car, or maybe a manager said, "Hey, do you want to take this car for the weekend?" It was fantastic. Love driving those cars.
Cool.
Love the business, but was just looking for something different, like we talked about.
Yes.
Always want to do my own thing.
Yes.
I
I remember that conversation.
Mhm.
In your we were in the kitchen.
In the kitchen, yeah.
And we were just talking about that. And I said to you, the money will come. Just get into the business. The money will come. Don't worry about the money.
Played a
The
huge
money.
part in why I decided to do it.
Wow.
You saying that, 100%. Because then it was great to hear from someone who is doing their own thing,
Mhm.
right? You don't have a salary, you don't have a set pay, right? There's security that comes with that, but there's a lot of restrictions in life that come with that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
One being how much money you can make.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And when you said that, I was like, wow, that was just, I need to hear it from someone,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe you would have looked at me and said, hey, you know what? He's not the type of guy to go do his own thing. But you saying that and having that experience, and that meant a lot to me. It really did when you guys said that. Really, really did. It was the impetus for me to make that decision. I always appreciated that.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
I'm happy you did it, and I'm happy that my words worked out.
Yeah.
Because,
What kind of royalties does he get? Asking for a friend.
that's a real friend. She's looking out for my pocket.
Now you can't leave.
right. Like,
Go
now
lock
you
that door.
can't leave. What movie was that from? The Bronx Tale?
Yes.
Now you can't leave.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm glad that you that you got into the business because you've done well and you've grown. We've been watching you grow for the past 10 years, and actually, it's been 10 years longer.
So I started this company, Integrus Financial, in 2012, but I was part-time for a long time. It was just 5 years ago, 5 years ago, February 6th, I believe, that I officially went out on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Pre-COVID,
Yeah.
which COVID was a whole other different set of challenges.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to say the C word.
It's now a new 4-letter word.
Seriously.
What was that? The government's now classified that as the 8th word or something.
Oh yeah.
4-letter
Oh my
word.
God, I don't want to think about it. But that was a whole different, set of challenges. Being, a brand new. I wasn't brand new in business, but I was brand new, and this was my income, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we had to get creative. And looking at some of these lights and some of the things you have set up here, I was doing some of this in my basement, just creating videos for the first time because I had to market myself.
Right.
Sure.
You had to do it.
Right.
But I learned a lot by doing it. COVID for the insurance business, believe it or not, was actually pretty good.
Good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. But it's been exciting. I love what I do. I love interacting with different people. I love being a resource for people that they feel, hey, you know what? Thanks for explaining that to me. Hey, people feel like they can trust me, and that means a lot to me when they tell me that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but
Well, I think also just being able to talk to someone, right? Like
it makes a huge difference.
when you call these companies sometimes, and not just in insurance, but just in anything, a refund or something, sometimes you can't even get someone on the phone, right? I just keep hitting 0 and it just restarts and makes me a little bit angrier.
Right.
One thing that I'll say for sure, because I remember even from our first, I don't know, 5 seconds of me talking, we were having this conversation in front of that house, and I was like, wow, this guy is like really approachable. Like you're really easy to speak with. You're having this banter back and forth. I mean, we were joking around within seconds of meeting each other.
Yes.
And I knew that was part of what was going to make you successful in anything you tried, because, you have that easygoing personality that, and it's not salesy. The way you're just fun to talk to,
Cool.
like in everything.
Appreciate
we do,
that. Yeah.
right? We're out, whether it's 4th of July, we're hanging out, or during Halloween, the parties. You can see your flow. You're like a little bee going to every flower, every person, right? Having this little mini conversations with everyone, and you're able to keep up, and you're good like that. And I think that it comes across in your business. So.
And it's I feel like it's genuine. It's not manufactured conversations.
Right.
It's just I think people are people and we're all human. And
Yeah.
we just treat people the way you'd want to be treated, right? And
Yeah,
talk to them the
golden
way you'd
rule.
want to be
Sure.
spoken to. And it's amazing how in business, whether it's real estate, insurance, car salesman, anything. I think if people just take a deep breath and treat people that way, it's going to lead to a lot of good things, and rather than bad things, that's for sure.
Yeah.
The golden rule, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
the golden rule. Listen, just be relatable, and you definitely are. You keep up with every conversation. Whether it's 100 miles an hour or 20 miles an hour, you're there. You're like this.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Tell us what your business is about. Tell us what you do, just so that the audience can get to know.
Yeah, definitely. So, I'm an insurance guy. But that's the high level, boring way to say it.
30,000 feet.
For a lot of people, insurance is not fun. But insurance is important, right? So we try to add some excitement to it to some degree. But I think when we set out to do this business, I originally started off in the life insurance and annuity side of the business. Life insurance is real important. If you don't have it, get it today. Call me. But no, it's real important to have.
Yes.
God forbid something were to happen to you. It's the ability for your family to achieve the goals and dreams you had for them, without you being there. So it is important. But that's where I got started in this business. And then, I didn't want to just be an insurance guy, a life insurance guy.
Mm-hmm.
So then I got into the P&C side of the business, auto, homeowners, business insurance, and really liked that side of the business. I had a lot to learn, even though I was licensed. I had a lot to learn, which I did, which was great. But I didn't want to just be the next auto and homeowner guy. So I really started thinking about, hey, what's my model going to look like? How am I going to differentiate myself a little bit? Mm-hmm. So my goal was to be able to do everything I can for one person, for one business. Everything I can. So the array. I wanted to be a resource for everything. I might not be the expert in everything, but I have them on tap. I have the experts on tap. So whatever, if you're a business owner, if you're a homeowner, even if you're a renter, you have an array of insurance products, right? I wanted to be able to be a resource for all of them.
Right.
So rather than, getting 1,000 clients with just one product, I wanted more intimate relationships. And I think that might be correlated to what you were talking about earlier. I enjoy the relationship side of the business. So I wanted to be able to do sometimes I'll shop a certain piece of the business for them. Hey, you know what? Keep what you have, because that's where it should be. But if anything changes, call me. Hey, let me look at that at least. It's not so much, hey, let me be your agent on something, but let me be your resource, because if I could build those relationships, I know I'll have clients for life. That's the goal, right?
So
clients
true.
for life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Because we got to put our best foot forward. It takes a lot to get a client. I don't want to lose a client. I never want to lose a client. Even if they choose to put their business somewhere else, I still want to be their guy. I still want to be their resource.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Because it always comes back.
It really does.
Talk to so-and-so. They said, you're, like I said, you're, they really trust you. You're good. Yeah, because I'm telling them the truth. And I'll tell people, listen, I'll explain this as deep as you want to go. You want to take an hour and we'll dive through this thing? Like, we'll do it. Others are like, no, just give me this and I'm good. Others really want to understand it. They really want to get into how the mechanics of it work and this, that. And I'm fine to have those conversations too, to a degree.
Right. Like, this is really going too far.
But so, my the business it's amazing the way it's, for me, in a 5-year period of where I've been on my own, how much it's grown and changed. Early on, life insurance, right? Annuities. Then we got into the auto and homeowners piece and small business insurance. One of the biggest areas of my business now is the healthcare side. It really is, because there was a need.
Right.
There was a need. New Jersey came out with their own exchange. My name got listed on the exchange. I was one of the only guys in Wayne listed.
Wow. Awesome.
All of a sudden, my phone is ringing off the hook.
Sure.
And I'm like, holy crap, I got to learn how this stuff works.
Right. Right.
And I did, right? I was building a parachute after I jumped out of the plane.
Yeah.
But
Trial by fire, right? Trial
we
by
figured
fire.
it out, right? And now I've become a great resource by necessity for a lot of people when it comes to health insurance, which now is turned into the Medicare side of the business, because a lot of people were going into Medicare and they were coming to me with questions. And it just so happened that a gentleman who I was a client of mine on the health insurance side had left his farmer's agency and was focusing just on Medicare. And he approached me and said, hey, would you want to add Medicare to your business? I said, yeah, I would. And he's been a great resource. So that's become a big part of our business too. And it just keeps growing. Now we're licensed in Florida and Virginia.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're expanding. Our team's expanding.
Look at that.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's
That's
exciting.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it is
exciting
exciting.
time. I'm just enjoying the ride.
Integrus, and we were there for the beginning of it. I love it. That's
I
pretty
just
cool.
got my Integrus test. I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
so did I.
Did they spell it right, or do you have regrets?
No regrets.
Regrets. I've seen
Great
that
movie.
meme. It comes up
Great
so
movie.
often.
It's awesome. I use that all the time. No regrets.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's great.
So wait a minute. How many states are you in?
Yeah, so we're Virginia, Florida. We're going to be moving. Well, New York as well, actually. So we're in New York as well.
New Jersey.
New Jersey, obviously. It's where we all started.
Yes.
Or where I started, anyway.
That's where I started also. right,
Right.
down the street from me.
Yeah,
Passaic.
respect to Jersey. So, we're looking at Pennsylvania too, where it makes sense. I don't want to just get a license somewhere just to get a license. It's actually pretty easy in the insurance business to get a license there. It's different to then know, the products and the solutions to make sure I'm a good resource for someone. So, and maybe get boots on the ground too. That's always pretty helpful to have someone who's there that can actually sit down and meet with a client. I think that's important. But so much can be done over the phone now. So much can be done over video.
Nearly everything, right?
Nearly everything.
It's funny. Out of this office, there must be 130 agents, and you see only 2 or 3 walking around because you can literally do anything from home. Everything that we have is cloud-based.
It is.
So it's.
I was doing a life insurance app just last week, and I was talking to the client, and she's about our age, and everything just
she's
came.
young. Really
She's
young.
really
She's
young.
young,
Really young. So everything was DocuSign. Like you do the application, and everything's like pre-filled out for you based on some information you put in early. It's so simple. And I'm just talking to her, and we're just kind of, having small talk at this point. I'm like, I can't believe I used to do these over paper. You have to get together with someone and actually, write this all in and have them sign it physically and
press hard so you can get through
the carbon
copies.
Remember that?
Man.
I used to leave receipts for, if they gave us a check. It's changed so much, but it's, I think to your point earlier, it's making a lot of business cold, and it's important if you can warm it up again.
Sure.
Yes.
Warm it up again with those, like being able to have someone to talk to and talk, about it with and feel confident that they know what they're talking about. I think that, it's easy to try to have a transactional based business, and listen, if you could have, 30 people buying a contract from you without having to meet them or talk to them, how awesome would that be, right? But it's not realistic.
No.
It's not realistic, and I just don't think that's sustainable.
No, and the relational approach, which is what we've always taken, as a company, as individually, we've always taken the approach of have a relational relationship. If you have a transactional relationship, you'll only see that person once in your life.
Right.
Yeah.
If you build a relationship with everyone you meet, then you'll have a relationship with them. They'll talk about you to everyone else in a way that makes you feel trusted.
Sure.
Right? And those referrals are just
Huge.
It's everything. It's your whole career.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we agree with you.
I like
completely. Which is why we refer you. Right? The relationship that we have is why we continue to send you business.
Which I appreciate very much. Yeah. Do you find that when you sit down with other business owners or professionals, do you find it's a common theme?
Yes. It's funny because we see it across business owners, because they get it, right?
Yeah.
They get it. It's the people who haven't figured that out yet that you see, let me just do this and say anything to this person and let me move on to the next one. And those are the people you're like, you're not going to, I give you 2 years. You can almost see it written on their forehead. Their timestamp is like, what was that movie, In Time, where their clock is running out?
I want to see that movie.
Yeah.
I've seen clips of it, but I really want to watch that movie. They're tipping people with like time.
Yes, with time. It's an interesting premise. But yeah, you can almost see the time written on their forehead, as to how long they're going to last in the business. Because if you're just thinking about the paycheck, about that one transaction, you're not going to last. It just doesn't work that way. People know when you're being insincere. People figure it out.
I think I see that a little bit too in marketing. Where people we joked around about Facebook, having a certain target market nowadays that I'm very well versed in.
By the way, only Santos said that. Only Santos said that older people use Facebook.
We were just discussing the parameters of social media to give you success.
We were just looking at some KPIs.
But I think some people, then you could just see it, right? Because you become hyper aware of these things. Mm-hmm. Oh, I put this post out, or I put this social media post out. Why aren't they calling me? Mm-hmm. It's not the way it works. Like, it supplements some of the other stuff that you have to do. Around the relationship building. Facebook will help give you name recognition. It'll help. It almost gives you a storefront, so to speak.
Yes, I agree.
Instagram will do the same. Whatever other
X,
social media platform, it comes out and
TikTok.
goes. TikTok. Oh, TikTok.
My goodness.
TikTok. The clock just goes.
Yeah.
I deleted the app.
It's a black hole.
It was like I gave it up for Lent, but I gave it up for like a year just to get my time back.
It's a black hole. You just go in there and then hey, it's nighttime already. Like you started at 10 o'clock and the
clock just going TikTok.
Yeah,
TikTok.
That is exactly what's happening.
It's clever though.
Yeah.
So short form content is huge. I think because our people's attention spans are so short now.
Yeah.
So
mess
short.
up with your focus.
They're short. And it's funny because we built this platform for those people that they found someone online or they found a realtor, especially in our company online, and we figured let's give them a platform so that people can get to know them long form, because everybody sees that 28-second clip and they'll watch that for 28 seconds and then move on. But there's always something in the back of your head that goes, I'd like to know a little bit more.
Sure.
And for those people, we have these platforms, this particular podcast where people can get to know that guest a little bit longer, a longer form than they would on that 28-second hit,
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah.
Which is great because you're right. Some people do want more information. They want to see that they're almost building a relationship with you,
Right,
without even seeing you or in face to face. But I think it's important to do both nowadays. I mean, when the short form content first came out, and if I talk to Isabel about this, I mean, you need to get her on to talk about social media. It's for as quiet
Can we
as
hire her? Can I hire her?
She's amazing. She's extraordinary. The way she thinks about it and the way she sees it is, because she's young, a little bit younger than us.
just a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah. It's very different. It's very different through those eyes to see how they see the world. But we don't have that perspective, right? So you almost need someone with that perspective to help you understand it, learn it. And when she starts talking to me about it, it's extraordinary. It's extraordinary. And where she goes with it and to grab your attention and this, that, and what she thinks is funny. I don't think it's funny at all. I don't get it. Some of it, but
it's good to see, because what you just mentioned, right? Someone else's perspective of the world, of the way these applications run, right? Because someone her age sees almost every angle of it, whereas we're stuck just, this is what we learned, and this is the only way we use it.
Who's
versus
hold on a second.
Speaking French all of a sudden,
right? Right. But
Speak for
it's
yourself.
yes, somebody who doesn't use social media at all, who has other people manage it for her. It's just, that's why we can't say we, because she doesn't know any of it.
Big time.
Antisocial.
But yeah, right. Antisocial.
You're onto something. The anti-social media. No one posts.
The right. It goes dark every day at a certain hour.
There's absolutely nothing in your feed.
I was in Florida recently.
That's great, actually.
I was in Florida recently, and it was like, I think it was like, I don't know if it was 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock. Everything shut down. I was like, wait a minute. What the heck you just had? Like, what's going on? The whole town. I don't know if it was Tampa and Orlando and all these
everybody
other
on
places.
Facebook, they go to sleep at the
It was just dark at 8 o'clock. I'm like, what is going on here? Is this a trick? I'm like, oh, this is just the way it is around here. Like, people are, like, they have other things to do. Like, they're not just,
What do they do after that? They don't turn into pumpkins or anything. Right?
Maybe they actually socialize, not internet socialize.
Perhaps.
Oh, they talk to each other? Wow.
Yeah.
That's different.
Yeah, it was a different experience, but maybe you're onto something. The anti-social social. It just goes dark at a certain.
It just did. There's no activity at all. You just log on. There's nothing happening at all. You don't feel compelled to post.
No.
Wait a minute. It could be, how long can you go without posting? I will win.
Oh yeah. For sure. Maybe I could. I don't use social media like that, so I could probably.
You could handle it.
I could probably handle that. I help people with the social media, but I don't use mine, so I have to start using mine.
So back to Integrus, right? One quick question about. So you mentioned healthcare is your biggest.
It's become a big
market,
a big part of our business. It has.
And what's your secondary? Like, what's your second most?
I have a very balanced business.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at any given time, even during like enrollment periods, like I think about this a lot. And take inventory of your business, right? It's important.
Sure.
Yeah. I have a very balanced business across all business lines. I really do. The life insurance, the small business insurance, the auto and homeowners. The health insurance is obviously during enrollment period takes up a lot of my time.
Right.
Like tax season, maybe.
Like tax season, right? It's exactly what it's like. So that's a big. We just got through that. It ended in New Jersey. It ends January 31st. Open enrollment for we call under 65 or the ACA insurance. The Medicare side, we have a product now. Without getting into the weeds on how it works, Medicare plans get star ratings out of 5 stars, and this is by CMS, the Center for Medicare Services. If you have a plan that gets a 5-star rating, you can enroll in that plan throughout the year. So we just got a plan in New Jersey that's got a 5-star rating. That really, again, without getting in the weeds, it's so much better for individuals that compare it to what they have. And we have the ability to enroll them throughout the year, which is great. So if this is going to be the first year where I see the Medicare side of our business kind of continue throughout the year, which I'm excited to see how that progresses.
Sure.
So rather than having that crunch time of an annual enrollment period, we're going to be able to market that and actually put people in that product throughout the year, which
That's
is
awesome.
which is great.
Yeah.
It's great for us from a planning and implementation perspective, and it's great for the clients because they can get into a better plan without having to wait for that open enrollment period.
That's a big deal because you always hear the complaints, right? It's, it just closed and I didn't have a chance to XYZ, right?
Right. And there are always special enrollment periods, for the under 65 and for Medicare that someone may qualify for. So it's important for them to review that and see if they do qualify, if they for some reason they missed open enrollment. I think it's it's important to have the conversation and see if there's something available because I don't know, insurance is always one of those things that's not important until you need it.
Yeah. You never think about it until you realize, hey, I probably should have had, and it's
Oops.
Yeah, oops.
It's interesting that you say that because we go through this a lot on rentals where tenants don't want to get renter's insurance, right?
Yes.
And it's relatively inexpensive.
So inexpensive.
And I'm not a superstitious person, generally speaking, but I would say that I do believe it's like when you don't have it, then something
happens,
go wrong,
right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I feel that way too.
Yeah,
I do.
So I do have a question to ask you. So
Sure.
maybe just sort of switching a little bit on the topic.
Go for it.
So when we help people purchase homes, we
Sure.
kind of get to a point where they get to the closing table, and the attorney will usually ask them if they have a will or that kind of stuff. Once you have properties or
Sure.
children and things like that. And so it's a lot of times it also comes up about maybe life insurance or some type of supplemental insurance that if one person, God forbid, something happens to them, that at least they could still stay in the home and
Sure.
they would be able to afford it for, X amount of time while things get figured out. Can you talk a little bit about that? Do you recommend, I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't have life insurance or some type of supplemental,
Sure.
maybe you can touch upon that a little bit because a lot of people do ask about it when we're at the time of closing on a home.
Absolutely. So we've done quite a bit of this and we've seen quite a bit of this. So at the end of the day, it's life insurance. It is life insurance. You might hear it marketed as mortgage protection,
Right.
which is different than your PMI. Right?
So people get confused
They do
about
get
that. They
confused.
say like mortgage insurance. Hey, I want to get a mortgage insurance policy, and then I'm on the lending side too, right?
Of course.
So they get that confused for sure.
They do. They think that's going to help pay for their
Mortgage.
home. Yeah, the PMI, right? Or it's different. It's very different.
Right.
That's if, obviously if you default.
Right.
Whoever the lender is, they're going to be made whole.
Yeah.
That's
They're
why
protected. not
They're
you.
protected, right? It's nothing to do with you,
Not you,
right?
yeah.
Right. So it's marketed in different ways. You might hear it as mortgage protection. It's at the end of the day, it's a life insurance policy. Especially for a new homeowner, they're probably taking on a lot of expenses that they probably haven't before.
Sure.
So the thought of taking on another expense might be a bit daunting.
Today, I would say that's probably higher than
Fair enough.
ever before, right?
Fair enough.
Mortgage payments on people are putting maybe less money down. The rates are creeped up a little bit. Prices are at an all-time high. So,
Sure.
So we're probably talking about on a entry-level home a payment that's much higher than what we've maybe.
Which would be
expected
even more
previously.
devastating if, God forbid, something
course.
happened to you.
If something
Right?
happens, yes.
So, for mortgage protection, and that's just marketing. It's essentially life insurance. I love term insurance. Term insurance is very, very inexpensive. It's sold by the millions on purpose.
And
Wow.
what's the difference between regular insurance and term insurance?
So term insurance, you have it for a certain period of time, 10, 20, 30 years. Okay. So you're covered during that time. It's a face amount. So it could be, let's say it's $1 million for 20 years. That's how long you have the policy. Once the 20 years is over, the policy is done. That's very basic term. Now, there are some iterations on that where you can get your money back at the end of the term. maybe you have an option to extend it longer. Some of them have living benefits. So God forbid you have something, a chronic or critical illness, you could tap into your face amount while you're alive. So it's like living insurance. So there are options. So that's term. The other side is something called whole life. And there's a bunch of variations on whole life, but whole life is designed to protect you just the way it sounds for your whole life. So it's having insurance, to age 80, 90, 100, 120 if you want.
200 for me. Thank you very much.
Well, the most I've seen is 120. So we'll get you to there, and then maybe you have to buy another one. Okay.
There you go.
I guess that's fair.
But for someone who, just a new homeowner, maybe they have young children, they're expecting young children, it's all about protection. Some of these there's a lot of fancy things you can do with life insurance. Tax-free growth on equity within the policy. You probably have heard of be your own bank. There's a whole bunch of different things you can do with that. But for someone who's got a concern about their budget and they just want to make sure their family's protected, term insurance is very inexpensive, and it's an easy way to protect your family if something were to happen.
And what happens at the end of a term? Let's say it's 20 years out. At the end of that term, it just ends. And,
it just ends.
And that's it.
That's it.
And no more protection.
No more protection.
So maybe some money back. I'm not sure how that works.
There are options,
Just
right? There are
depends on the
options. But if you think of term insurance in its purest sense, the most basic term, think about a mortgage, right? It's 30 years.
And then that's it.
Right? So maybe you get a 30-year policy. Now, as time goes on, what you owe on your home, right, as you pay that mortgage, you should have equity, right? You're owing less. However, when you take $1 million policy out today, what's it going to be worth in 15 years? Inflation is it's going to keep chopping at that policy every year. $1 million today was a lot different than $1 million 15 years ago or 30 years ago.
Absolutely.
So a level 30-year policy for $1 million will cover you, right? So yeah, you have equity building. Inflation's chopping out that $1 million life insurance policy, but that need is gone. Once you pay off your mortgage, the kids are growing out of the house.
Yeah.
Income replacement isn't as important as it was when you had young kids and a brand new mortgage. And granted, people will move. You probably have the stats on how many times people move.
Sure.
Yeah, it used to be between 5 to 7 years. Now it's gone up to like 12.
People typically take a new 30-year mortgage at that time, right? But as you get older, the thought is that you're going to have retirement income as well. So there comes a point when you should be self-insured from a life insurance perspective, potentially. And that's when, the needs, like you look almost as each need in a silo. Am I covering my kid's education? Am I covering the mortgage? Am I covering my income replacement? There's a quick and easy formula you can use. There's a bunch of them. One's called DIMES. So when you're thinking about, hey, how much life insurance do I need? D stands for debt. And this isn't a mortgage, but any type of, maybe you have credit card debt, car loan, something like that. D stands for debt. I stands for income replacement. The rule of thumb is you want to replace 8 to 10 years of your income. 8 to 10 years off the bat, right? Think of what that number is, right? You make $100,000 a year. It's easy to get to $1 million of coverage. It's easy to get to $2 million of coverage. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
M is your mortgage. E is expenses. God forbid something were to happen to me. I'll have a great party. Put me somewhere, right? And then S is stuff. S stands for stuff. Maybe you have a daughter who want to pay for a wedding. Maybe you had a dream of having a shore house one day. Everyone has different stuff.
Sure.
Their stuff is their stuff, but maybe that's where some of the goals and dreams are in there. Hey, we wanted to have go on a special vacation somewhere. Whatever your stuff is, it's your stuff. And it's important to think about that and kind of put it into the equation.
Yeah.
And then you come up with a number. If you can do it through term insurance and inexpensively, awesome. If you have more capability and you could do some of the other more exciting, I'll say more bells and whistles, whole life insurance and some of the things they offer, then yeah, entertain that. But for serving the needs of replacing your income and making sure, the dimes is taken care of, term insurance could be a great tool.
All right, so I'll talk to you about my $10 million policy later.
No problem.
I am curious.
You should have two.
In general, and I don't even know if this is a fair question to ask, but do you see people coming up with numbers in the millions when
Easily.
they're trying to? Oh, really?
Easily.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, just based on your income alone, if you're
Yeah.
thinking 8 to 10 years,
Right.
that you're going to hit that
It's
number.
it's easy. And once you lock into a policy, you're locked in. Your rate's locked in. The
Yes, you're
face
good.
amount's locked in. So for that term period, it doesn't go up.
It doesn't go up. Okay.
It does not go up. If you develop some type of disease, it doesn't change your premium.
Is that for term and whole life? For either one, it's locked in?
Typically, yes.
Typically, okay.
Yeah. Typically, yes.
So-
You're locked in.
One of
And-
the questions, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And in case there's an adjustment needed, would you do an adjustment or you just get a new one for like a bigger amount, and just in case you need more money?
You want like a bigger policy?
Yeah. Let's say we close on the policy and
Sure.
this is like a 30-year one, right?
Sure.
And then 10 years in, I need an increase. I need more money. Do I get a new one, or we just adjust the one that I currently have?
You would need to get a new one at that.
A new
at
one,
that
okay, on
point,
top
yeah.
of it, on
Yeah,
top of-
yeah. It's hard to increase it
Okay.
once it's been established.
Okay.
And I had asked...
For the most part, there are options there, but for the most part, if there is an option to increase the one you have, then it's worth pursuing that. Every policy kind of is different. Every carrier is different.
Okay.
So it's based upon the rules, is what's set forth in that policy. If there's an option for that, yeah.
So I had asked last week, I mentioned that we were going to have you on, and one of the agents asked, well, for either one, for whole life or term, if he were to pass away, would he, like, what happens? At that point, you cash out? What happens on either one of those, in whole life or term, if the person passes away before the time is up?
Oh, the money goes to their beneficiary, and
Okay.
it's typically tax free.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a tax-free payment to their beneficiary.
Okay.
Life insurance is probably one of the only ways, not the only way, one of the only ways to create a cash windfall for your beneficiaries. It's one of the only ways to where you can sign up. I can't even sign a paper anymore. You can digitally sign an application. It used to be the stroke of the pen. It was
Right.
mightier than the sword. Now
Right.
it's the click of the
Now
keyboard.
it's a click.
Yeah. And God forbid something happens to you, a month later, where all of a sudden there's a cash windfall, for your family, for your
family.
beneficiaries.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that, that goes to them. Yeah.
Very
And it's, now what happens, right? You hear so many times when people win the lottery and they don't have anything left.
Right.
Right.
It's not a fun way to win the lottery, but it's almost like winning the lottery. So it's important to then now, as an insurance agent broker, in my opinion, to help find them the resources to make sure that money does what we set it out to do.
Right.
Sure.
It's real important that we act as a resource in that moment to say, okay, it's real important that this was the plan, this was the goal, and here's why we had this. What can we do to help make sure it gets implemented the way we think it should. So again, I think when people are probably in one of their lowest times, it's a responsibility on us as an insurance agent and broker to make sure that we're there as a resource. And that's why the relationship, I think, is so important. And one thing about life insurance that's really unique, if you go and purchase that life insurance through some online tool on your own, or if you purchase it through an agent and broker, your costs are exactly the same. You don't get a break by going direct to the insurance carrier.
Right.
It's regulated that way. So I think it's better to have an agent that you can have as a resource
Sure.
along the way than, you think, hey, I'm going direct, I'm going to get it cheaper. You're not. What you're getting is less relationship.
Right.
Yes.
You're getting less resource. So why not, find someone that you can trust and work with? There's a lot of really good people in the industry. There are.
We're looking at one.
There's a lot of people who come in and go out quick, which I'm sure you guys see too.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah,
sure.
I think it's in every industry.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right. And if someone's starting out and they're, a family friend or, someone you trust and they decide to leave the business, that's okay. As long as that, that policy is what someone, an agency, a brokerage, someone that I think that can then act as that resource that we were just talking about.
Right.
Because you're right. People come and go. They might change their mind.
Yeah. I know someone who got into insurance 2 years ago. He's now working for FedEx.
Interesting.
Just happens.
FedEx has insurance?
No,
I'm just kidding.
I'm sure they do, but not through him.
I think that, and this is just my opinion, so you can take it for whatever you think it's worth, but I think in any business, especially those that maybe have a mindset of like, oh, I think I'm going to get rich on this, right? And they usually start with a strictly transactional approach.
Agreed.
And that's probably what gets them out of it so quickly, because you don't have that trust, the referral-based business, and things like that makes it short-lived.
It's the wrong mindset to have. If that's what you're in it for, you're not going to last.
It is, and there are some insurance carriers out there, and I'm not going to name them because I think they're reputable carriers as well. But this is part of their marketing model: is let me recruit agents, right, and let me work through their warm market.
Mm-hmm.
So they're working through your warm market to help bring sales into the company. And if you decide to not stick with it, they're just going to recruit someone else.
And they keep those policies anyway.
Typically they should, right? Because it was the right solution for them.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's almost part of the marketing. Like so that's one way that they get their leads.
Right.
Is through warm market leads is much better than cold.
Of
Sure,
course.
of course.
Right? There's a relationship there from before the solution was presented, before the idea was even presented.
Right.
So it's a good model, but it does lead to churn, where people come in, they try it, it's really good for a minute. Okay, now I got to work this thing.
Yeah.
And getting a client that you didn't know is probably one of the toughest things in both of our businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Sure.
Building that relationship up and getting and keeping that client. It's the same thing in the insurance industry. Anyone can join and sell to their family and friends and acquaintances. It's what happens when that's done.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing to help make sure your business is sustainable? And I think that's where a lot of people, it does get very challenging in that moment. It does, and rightfully so, because this is where it gets a lot tougher. It's a lot harder.
Mm.
How do you develop something from nothing?
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's why I think I'm sure you're seeing it now with the lower inventory in the housing market, right? Where some people thought they were going to come in and everyone's going to use me as their agent, right? I'm awesome. They love me and I'm a good person, which is great. I'm sure you are. But if no one's selling their house,
Right.
what are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Right? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's an important that the solutions that are put in place, as an agent and broker, you almost have to think about, okay, if I'm not doing this any longer, how is this client going to be supported?
Sure.
Yeah,
So-
you want to build that relationship. And just talking about growing a business in general, you have grown very successful business. And probably you spend some money on coaching, right?
So I've read a lot of books,
Okay.
which has turned into, I went to go read a book the other day. I don't know why I couldn't read it. The print got so small. I don't know what happened. It was so weird. This was a tough moment for me. I'm not going to lie. It's a book. It's Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, right?
sure. Good
Everyone
book.
loves
Yes,
that book,
sure.
right? If you don't love that book, you're not my friend.
Not good book.
Yeah. But I broke it out because I'm like, I haven't read it in a while. And I like to read it like I used to read it once a year, every so often. Because I have some other businesses that I'm thinking about, getting into and kind of developing. And I'm like, I need that juice. I need those creative juices flowing. I need to see the stories of, Bell and all these people again. And
The mastermind group.
yeah, I love that, right? And love the mastermind group. And so I go and break out the book. I'm like, I go to my wife, Aim. I'm like, Aim, I don't know what the hell happened to this book. Did you put it through the dryer? It's shrunk.
It's not your vision. It's the book.
Oh my
It's
God.
the book. It's the book.
It happens I've heard that. It happens over time.
You've heard that?
Yeah. It's not.
There's no lenses in
it's
there,
not
right? You're just wearing those to
Right.
look
Those aren't real glasses.
I probably need an extra pair on something.
Oh my
But
goodness.
the reason I asked
Yeah,
you
I
that.
apologize. I forgot what you've been
No,
asked
it's
at this
okay.
point.
It's okay. The reason
Coaching. Yeah.
coaching. So the reason I ask you that is because you have that perspective of building a relationship with your clients, right?
Sure.
Turning them into pretty much your family at a certain point.
Sure.
And that's because you come from a time where you had to build that relationship with. You still have to, but
Sure.
that was the whole model back then, right?
Yes.
Without all these tools, you have to really sit down and build this relationship with your clients. But nowadays, with all these new tools, you see young people just looking at the technology, and it's easy on paper. It looks nice just to do transactions. Like, just let me put this out there. Let me set up a marketing campaign through social media. I'll use all these tools, and I don't have to even talk to my clients.
And to be fair, I think a lot of people have been fed that.
Yep.
And when you see the content that comes through, right? Like ClickFunnels. I forgot what the one Bronson's name. What was his company? Bronson.
I'm not sure.
Do you know it? I know you're a social media expert.
I do actually know it. I just can't think of it.
It'll
right
come
now.
to me. But that was like the big thing, right? Let me build this funnel as people come through, and then it's going to lead them to the purchase. Then like everybody was doing it. Everybody and their mother was doing that, right? And I mean, we were told from, like I said, I did insurance part-time for a long time. We were told, I originally got licensed in, I'm not going to say.
1920.
Let's put it this way. It was 1999 or 98. I originally got licensed. I was very young, very young. I was 19 at the time. But, we were told how many times the internet was going to replace life insurance agents.
Sure.
And I'm sure there has been some aspect of that where people just go transactionally, they buy a policy. I don't know if they keep it.
Right.
I don't know if they keep it. I don't know if they had someone to talk to. Hey, do I still need this? Hey, is this the right thing? But we were told so many times that, the internet was going to replace us. I don't know if you've heard that in your business, have you?
All the
a
time.
time.
People still
All the time.
talk about it, but it's just like, I don't think, because the system worked to a certain point, right? Because during COVID, right, a lot of agents, they were doing one transaction, but they were not going to get a second transaction from that person. Because I do get a lot of clients that come to me, and they have like terrible stories about past agents, and they were like, oh, I did this transaction with this person, and I felt like I was just talking to a computer or something like that.
Yeah.
So it works if you want to do one transaction, right? But if you want to build a relationship with that customer, you want that customer to come back to you and refer you their family and everybody, then you have to build that relationship.
Yeah, it's funny. The number of people who feel like they're being treated like a number instead of like a relationship, instead of like someone who matters to that person, and that's when you see them jump from a to a different person.
I guess my perspective is a little different. I'm surprised to hear that because home values are so high. Like the commission on the end of that, I would want to build every relationship I could with that person.
Right. You would think.
Right. To make sure that I secure myself in that transaction, but to hopefully become a referral source for me.
Right.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because it's a big chunk of change. You know what I mean? Like there are some health insurance policies that I said, well, I'm making $20 a month. It's very exciting. You know what I mean? It's very
You
exciting.
can get a half a cup of coffee with that.
It's awesome. Yeah. It's fantastic. But so some of that's based on volume for sure. But I still treat those people the same way I would, the larger ones, because
they're still a referral source.
they're still a referral source.
Of course.
So that to me, that's mind-boggling to me that you wouldn't, have, white glove service for that client.
For everyone.
Yeah, right. How could you not?
Yeah, it's amazing to me, but it's also the culture, right? The programming of everything's fast, instant gratification.
Yes.
Let me get this thing, let me get my numbers in, and you're a quota to everybody. If you're living that way, man, this is a short-lived business.
And it looks good. It looks amazing on paper. When you put it in practice, it doesn't really work.
It doesn't
and
pan out.
I mentioned the coaching because it is good that it is natural to you, but if you are new to this business, anybody that want to start a business, you definitely need to spend some money on coaching because you need that different perspective, right? You need the tools, but at the same time, you need to know how to do business the proper way.
Yeah, but even if it's whatever kind of business it is, you don't necessarily have to go spend money on coaching, but definitely some kind of mentor, right? Your coach is a mentor. Anyone who give you the right advice, the right piece of let me work in this direction. You're it's fine. You're doing that. But you could also do this, in tandem.
I was lucky early on when I first got licensed, right when I was 19, that I was part of a multi-level marketing company. Okay, so multi-level marketing definitely has people have opinions on it. It's not something I would do. I was young, it was good, But the one thing it did do for me is every Saturday I was in the office and we were learning.
Sure.
Learning, yes.
We weren't learning about product. We were learning how to interact with people, how to talk to people.
Sure.
And we were getting up in front of the room and practicing it. So that had a big impact on me. It did. And I think to be able to put yourself in a position, doesn't have to be multi-level marketing, but something that forces you to get out of your comfort zone a little bit.
Right.
And get in front of people, get in front of a room and being able to talk and being able to sit down with a family at the kitchen table, being able to take a phone call and being comfortable with it. And because once you get old, I don't know if I ever get nervous talking to someone anymore. I really don't think I do. But I remember early on where you get kind of like the butterflies, right? You're like, oh my, am I going to screw this up? Am I going to say something I shouldn't,
Right.
Because you're also taught all these kind of like things to say,
Right.
There was one real estate mogul back in the day. Yeah, I forgot his name. And you got, as we talk about it, maybe it'll come out. But he had a book and he had training and
Carlton
everything.
Sheets.
No money down, Carlton Sheets. No, I remember those commercials.
That was terrible.
Yeah, but this was like a self-help kind of guy who came from the real estate. But everything about his relationship was, how does that make you feel? And I'm like, that doesn't feel. I don't feel right saying that.
No.
What are you most excited about with this life insurance? I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah, it sounds salesy.
No, it sounds so salesy. But back then, I'm like, oh my god, it's amazing.
But you see, even in that, right? Even in the mistakes that you hear other people make, you're learning.
You're learning.
You're learning.
Of course.
And
Because you
it's
still have
funny.
to be yourself.
Yes.
You can't be someone else. You still have to be yourself.
It reminds me of Dawn teaches a 14-week class in real estate, and
It's a
she's
long class.
always.
Do people get to leave or use the bathroom?
No, they have to stay for 14 weeks.
But it's funny. I've walked into the class and I've heard her say to them, "This is a place where you want to make these mistakes.
100%.
You know, do practice here.
You're among
You know,
family.
Say
Yeah.
anything you can. Just work this out here instead of making the mistake in front of the client. So that even if because sometimes you can catch yourself, having a conversation with, oh, wait a minute, I've been through this conversation before somewhere else. Let me say it this way. Let me explain it in this other way. Because if you do it often enough, if you put yourself in that learning environment often enough, you will get it right.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know what? And even if you have a long-term view on your place in this business, if you make a mistake with a client, you have to own up to it, right? You got to admit it.
Right.
And if you lose a client because of it, guess what? You'll never lose another one because of that same thing.
Exactly.
You learn from it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that if you have a long-term view on it and your place in whatever business it is, you don't want to make mistakes, but you'll appreciate them. You'll appreciate them because, man, there's no better way to learn, right?
That's how you learn. You have to make mistakes.
There's no better way to learn.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. So, yeah, I think coaching, if someone needs it, they should seek it out. I mean, there's so much YouTube now that we didn't have in 98.
I don't know how we lived without it.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Anything you want to learn how to do, right, and get good at,
It's out there.
it's out there.
Right.
It's there. So, people want to find information on anything. It's at your fingertips. I was talking to Griffin about that, my youngest. He wrestles, and he was talking about, when I'm in this certain position, it's hard for me to get out, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, go YouTube it, man. Like,
Yeah.
I never wrestled. I think I have an idea what you should do, but
Right.
go YouTube that right now. Like, we're at the tournament. You could probably learn it in like 3 seconds. Like, download it
Right.
into your brain and go do it. It's obviously not that easy, but the information's there.
Yeah, it is there.
It's there. I still don't think kids, from what I've seen, use it enough for the good. They use it for entertainment.
Right. Instead of for education.
If you find someone who's young and willing to put the time in, that they can build relationships, and they'll use all that's out there and download it. I mean, the AI stuff is crazy. I'm using it. I do enjoy it a lot. I think some of it's pretty extraordinary, and it helps just kind of collapse time frames on what you want to get done.
Sure.
But if someone could, use those tools and still have the ability to build relationships, I think they're going to be able to be, gazillionaires because, so many kids they're stuck looking at it and they don't want to interact. They want to text.
Yep.
Yeah.
And,
And be entertained instead of learning. I know I have a friend who's
You do?
Yeah, just one friend.
Just one friend.
Just one friend. That's it.
Do we keep talking about
he
the
learned.
same friend, Mark?
It's the same guy.
friend.
Does this person exist?
right.
It's an AI
I imagine
It's AI friend.
But he taught himself how to play golf on YouTube. And if you saw this guy, he's like pro level.
Wow.
You know, he's a scratch golfer.
That's
And he
extraordinary.
learned it after he retired from the police force.
Wow.
I mean, he's not like a 30-year-old, 20-something-year-old on YouTube. He's a 55-year-old guy, 60-year-old guy who is now amazing. I take tips from him all the time because, you know, he can get out to any course. Never played it before. In fact, we did this not too long ago, and shoots a 74 first time on that golf course. I'm like, are you kidding me right now?
Wow.
And you know, I think
Don't
he's
invite
60.
me.
No,
Don't invite me to golf.
No. now I make sure that now I make sure
golf.
that I only play with him, so I don't get embarrassed if we bring a foursome or something like that.
Right. That's great.
But yeah, that's the world of that we live in today. You can learn everything on YouTube, and,
Right.
or ask someone who's I put out a video on that subject. But the one thing, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was about to say that's interesting because I don't know how to swim. I want to learn, and I was talking to my friends, and they recommended me this podcast of a guy that learned how to swim on YouTube. I'm like, how?
Go in your
Like,
bathtub.
oh my god!
Right. So that might be a little bit tougher.
I was like,
Yeah.
how? And then the guy explaining how he did it, and I'm like, I don't know.
So find a why. The way, like
Yeah.
the Wayne why. All the whys are really big
Yeah.
on teaching people how to swim.
Yeah, YMCA is a great place to
Yeah, that's part of like their DNA on
Yeah.
making sure people know how to swim. It's
Mm.
I support the Wayne Y, and they just had their annual campaign. That's something they talk about every year.
Yeah.
Like so, I would definitely reach out, find the why. It's important to learn how to swim, man.
Yeah.
Oh yes, especially me. I'm doing crazy things out there. I have to
Yeah.
show you a couple of videos.
Yeah, he's in extreme everything.
Bring the
Skydiver,
iPad
you
into
name
the
it.
bathtub. To learn how to swim.
Oh man.
I'm not there yet.
What's this toaster doing here? The toaster in the bathtub. This
Zoom.
is exciting.
I forgot I had a Zoom call.
Oh my god.
But I wanted to. Well, I know we're running over on time, but I just wanted
Are we
to,
really?
Yeah, we've been here for almost an hour.
Stop it right now.
But I wanted to make sure you can't just get the stuff on.
Is the food outside now?
on YouTube? Yes.
They're working on it.
We wanted to make sure that we told everyone about your company, Integrus Financial, and where can we find you?
Yeah, obviously, I have a website, integrus-financial.com. That's INTEGRUS, integrus-financial.com. I am on Facebook as well. If you just search, it's Integrus Financial there. Easy to find.
Only Facebook, right?
Facebook. Yeah, I think there is an Instagram account. I did have a TikTok.
You do?
I do. Yeah, I started. I'm going to do more there. I am. I do enjoy it. It was funny. One of the first videos I posted on TikTok was, I guess this was almost like 20 years ago. I was at a driving range talking about golf with my best friend. Right, we're at the driving range. So actually, this is more than 20 years ago because I'm married over 20 years. So this is before I got married. So it's probably like 25 years ago. And I have the video, and I'll show you guys after. But I have my driver. I think it was like a hybrid club, and I take the swing, and the ball pops right up in front of me, and I catch it.
Oh wow!
Oh wow.
Like what are I'm like,
What
so
are
I'm
the
like, I'm
odds?
putting this on TikTok. I'm gonna
Right.
be TikTok famous. I got like 600 views. I'm like, I'm a
I would
TikTok
watch
loser
that.
at the moment, but I'm like, I'm gonna start putting more content out there. Yeah, so you'll be able to find me on TikTok. The number I have on my website and that's posted on Facebook goes right to my cell phone.
What is that number?
What's that
It's
number?
551-206-5280.
Awesome.
My email is chris.sees. That's chris.sees. That's S as in Sam, E as in Edward, E as in Edward, S as in Sam. At Integrus-Financial. It's INTEGRUS-Financial. If I had to redo things all over again, I'd make my email smaller.
There you go.
A lot
funny.
smaller. It wasn't well thought out, but it's hard to change your email now.
Yeah.
You can't.
No, it
So-
does get tough.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's how people can find me. Like I said, I'm happy to be a resource for anyone and anything insurance. I have a big array of expertise, in-house and on tap. So
Awesome.
yeah, it's someone you can call and have a conversation with.
Awesome. And you can find them. We'll post that on the. You can see it right down here in the video.
Awesome.
Thanks. Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there-
I didn't
see
see it at first.
Well, it's been fun. Thank you so much.
This has been awesome.
We
Yeah,
really
thank you guys
appreciate
so much for having me. I really
Thanks so much for your
appreciate it. Yeah,
time.
this was great.
Thanks for
I could have
coming.
done this for hours.
we did.
Alrighty, this is Realtors Radio Network signing off.
Keep an ear out for the next episode of the Realtors Radio Network, where Santos Garcia, Marcos Suarez, and Dawn McCullough share their wealth of real estate knowledge. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, review, and share. Find us on social media at Realtors Radio Network. See you next time on the Realtors Radio Network.